Good evening to one and all. I, Lavanya PB, Assistant Professor, Department of MBA, Andhra Laila Institute of Engineering and Technology, welcome you all to the International Workshop on Institutional Management and Administrative Procedures from 23rd to 25th May 2021, jointly organized by Lavender Literary Club India, Cape Comorin Trust, Andhra Loyola Institute of Engineering and Technology, Andhra Pradesh, India, and Malaysian Industrial Relations and Human Resource Association, MIRHA, Malaysia. I take the privilege to welcome on board Chief Patrons Dr. A. Francis Xavier S.J., Secretary and Director, Andhra Loyola Institute of Engineering and Technology, Vijayawada, Andhra Pradesh. Professor Dr. Balakrishnan Parsuraman, University of Malaysia, Wellington, Malaysia. Founder President, MIRHA, Malaysia. I welcome Dr. Frank Joyce Satya, President, Lavender Literary Club, Dr. R.S. Regent Sylvest, President, Cape Comorin Trust, patrons of the International Workshop. I welcome Dr. O. Mahesh, Principal, Andhra Loyola Institute of Engineering and Technology, Vijayawada, the co-patron of the International Workshop. Let me also welcome the members of the Advisory Board, President, Vice President, Convener, Co-Convener, Organizing Secretary, and the coordinators of the International Workshop. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome the resource persons of the day, Professor G.M. Joseph Dunstan, former Vice Chancellor, St. Joseph University, Nagaland, and R. Vivekanandarasa, Lecturer, Department of Secondary and Tertiary Education, Faculty of Education, Open University, Sri Lanka, Sri Lanka. I would like to welcome all the participants for the International Workshop and wish you a happy learning experience during the 3 days. Let us start the first day of the 3-day International Workshop on Institutional Management and Administrative Procedures by invoking God's blessings upon us. Let me recite the famous poem of Rabindranath Tagore, where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where the knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where the words come out from the depth of the truth, where the tireless striving stretches song across the perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the desert sands of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and the actions. Into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. The workshop mainly focuses on developing basic skills to effectively manage departments, institutions for the learners, thereby to contribute in the holistic growth and development of the institution. The workshop includes institutional management process, leadership, performance appraisal, and management. Institutional management in present scenario, motivation for higher performance, financial management, strategic planning for institutional competitive advantage, to name some. May I now request Dr. O. Mahesh, Principal, Andhra Loyola Institute of Engineering and Technology, Vijayawada, Andhra Pradesh, India, the co-patron of the International Workshop, to give welcome address. Sir.
Thank you. So, Reverend Father Dr. Francis Xavier, SJ, Director, Andhra Loyola Institute of Engineering and Technology, Dr. Balakrishna Parsuraman, University of Malaysia, Kelantan, Malaysia, Dr. Frank Joyce Satya, President, Lavender Literary Club, Dr. R.S. Regent Sylvest, President, Cape Comorin Trust, resource persons, participants, and other invitees. So, good evening to every one of you. So my hearty welcome goes to all participants, invitees, organizers who have taken initiative to organize webinar on institutional management and administrative procedures. The main activities in an institute are mainly curriculum design and development. Then to do this, the procurement of infrastructure and development of infrastructure. Then most important task is to execute the above two tasks. We require the faculty members, staff, and we have to adequately give training to them so that they can manage and manage the institute towards the goals. And finally, the finance generation, both internally and externally. Internally includes the consultancy and other ways of generating resources, whereas external means by procurement of some projects and getting from the tuition fee from the students, the financial requirements can be achieved. So all these activities involves, this is a complex process, involves many faculty members, and they should be aware of their role apart from their teaching, learning in the teaching, research, they should be aware of. And unless faculty actively participates, the efficiency of teaching learning system cannot be enhanced. I hope this webinar throw a light on various perspectives on institute development, institution management, and administrative procedures so that the faculty members and the participants will be aware of and they enhance their knowledge and contribute towards the growth of the institute. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, for your welcome note. It's indeed a deep pleasure because with your welcome note, it gives a boost for us to go ahead with the 3 days of the session. Now, I deem it a privilege to introduce today's first resource person of the day, Professor G.M. Joseph Dunstan, former Vice Chancellor, St. Joseph University, Nagaland. Sir was born on 25th January 1956. Sir completed his MA English in 1978 from St. Joseph's College, Trichy, MPhil in English in 1995 from Pondicherry Central University, Pondicherry, and PhD in 2004 on Comparative Literature from Pondicherry Central University, Pondicherry. Sir has completed 38 years of service, of which more than 30 years held various administrative positions such as Professor and Head, Department of English, Vice Principal, Director, Principal, and Vice Chancellor. At present, Sir is working as the Director for Development and Professor of English in Research Center, St. Jerome's College of Arts and Science, A.N. Kudi, affiliated to MS University. Sir served as a Vice Chancellor of St. Joseph's University, Nagaland, a unit of DMI congregation from 30th November 2016 to 20th 2017, when he has created the basic infrastructure for introducing the possible viable courses to cater to the needs of the tribal communities in Nagaland, and also from various councils and committees, and he has formed various councils and committees to steer the university on the right track. From July 2017 to April 2018, worked as a principal and director of JP Group of Institutions, a unit of DMI Group of Functioning in Tankasi, affiliated to MS University. From 2013 to 16, served as the director of DMI College of Engineering and Loyola Institute of Technology, Palancher, Chennai, affiliated to Anna University, Chennai. Sir also works as principal, St. John's College of Arts and Science, Amandivallai, Kanyakumari, and director of Francis Xavier Engineering College, Tirunelveli, and head of the Department of English and Vice Chancellor of St. Jude's College, Tutu. Served as a trainer and motivational speaker too in many colleges and schools to train the faculty to get new insights of teaching. He has trained numerous faculty on many colleges and also guided NAC accreditation, both old and new versions, and served as a resource person for many national and international workshops and delivered more than 1,000 motivational talks. He served as a Senate in MS University, Tirunelveli, chairperson of the Consortium of Christian Minority Higher Educational Institutions of Tamil Nadu, a member of the All India Association for Christian Higher Education, New Delhi, and as the chairperson of CCMHIE, Sir represented the congregation consortium in the consultation of New Education Policy Draft Committee, led by Padma Vibhushan Dr. Kasturi Rangan, and he has organized by the Ministry of MHRD in the NAC office, Bangalore, on Draft National Educational Policy 2019 and New Educational Policy 2020. Sir presented and published many research papers in reputed journals, and under Sir's supervision, 6 of the scholars have completed their PhD and 7 are in the process. Sir has bagged many awards. To name few, Best Speaker Award of Kanyakumari District 2019, the Gopal Teacher of Hall of Fame Award 2019. Sir's concentration and social concern made him to serve the society in many spheres of his life. Sir also visited France, Italy, Portugal, Mauritius, Rome, Sri Lanka, etc. And with this brief introduction, let me hand over the session to the first resource person of the day, Professor G.M. Joseph Dunstan, sir, to take over the session. Sir, please.
Good evening to everyone. Let me at the outset thank you for the opportunity given to me by Dr. Frank, Dr. Regin Silvest, and Dr. Ando. I also gratefully remember the contributions made by the Lavender Literary Club, Cape Comorin Trust, Andhra Loyola Institute of Engineering and Technology, and Malaysian Industrial Relations and Human Resource Association, Malaysia. So, dear Reverend Father Francis Xavier, the Secretary of Loyola Institute of Engineering and Technology, Dr. Mahesh, the Principal, Dr. Balakrishnan from Malaysia, Dr. Frank, Dr. Regin, Dr. Ando, and all other administrators of these 4 institutions which sponsor this workshop on international virtual industrial management and administrative procedures. I'm happy to be here with you, but still there are certain things which what happened today had put me a setback in my day-to-day affair. In fact, I always feel that pandemic paved way for these webinars all over the globe. But during this second wave, we had to overcome many hurdles in our lives today, and many of our close relatives have been lost. And I know my own Jesuit friends, many of my Jesuit fathers are no more. I'm extremely sorry today. In fact, the loss because of the pandemic has done even a kind of a setback. In fact, I would even say that. I was very happy this morning that I can do, but even my own brother, who is a priest from the OD diocese, is affected with corona and is admitted in the hospital. But anyway, he's recovering. Like that, there are a lot of things. And of course, this morning also I received a news that 168 priests all over India and 148 nuns all over India are no more. Anyway, in this background, today we are talking about this particular international workshop. It's a virtual workshop on institutional management and administrative procedures. And my area today is effective governance of higher education institutions, an Indian perspective. I would like to tell the honorable audience that I have chosen this because of my involvement in NAC and also with the higher education institutions in Tamil Nadu and also in Nagaland. That effective governance is something which makes, as Dr. Mahesh was underlining in his welcome address, the effective governance is equivalent to an effective performance in the institutions. So before I start, I would like to give my presentation scheme. My presentation scheme will be like this. The overview of my topic will be like this. I will tell you what is governance. I'll talk about the origin, the etymology of the word governance, and the definition. Then I'll go to the importance of governance, and then the characters of good governance in Tirukkural, and the merits of governance in National Assessment and Accreditation Scheme. That will be my overview. So I have chosen this effective governance. And I would like to start that from the management guru, Peter Drucker. Efficiency is doing things right, but effectiveness is doing the right things. I mean, I don't want you to get confused with those two words. Effectiveness, of course, we will be, taking up that efficiency in doing. So that way, I start that like that. And I would like to even quote Arindam Chaudhary in his book, Count Your Chickens Before They Hatch. He beautifully says, show me a good country, show me a good organization, show me a good company, I'll show you a good leader. I think that sums up our governance. There is an effective governance, an effective performance, things will move on the right thing. But it's not that easy to build up this effective governance overnight. It's very difficult, of course. It's a complicated process. But the bad governance, just one day, the bad governance can spoil, collapse the institutions like a pack of cards. So what's governance? I start like this. I go to the etymology, Greek, guberna, that means to steer, to lead. And the Latin, gubernare, to steer, rule. Old French, gouverner, that means control and rule. And Middle English, govern, also once again stresses on that particular point, to rule, a rule. So from that, we can go to the origin. This particular word was used by William Tyndale in the 16th century. And see the definition. Governance is the way rules, norms, and actions are structured, sustained, regulated, and held accountable. That means if you organize something in your institution, or a different institution is built up, we make some policies of the rules, the norms, actions, and which is structured in such a way, it is always held accountable also to all the stakeholders. So if you take that word governance itself, the G, which stands for genuine, I'll give you the expansion for each alphabet there in that word governance. Governance, G is for genuine, the sincere way of doing things. O is optimistic. No, you have to be very positive. Whoever be the leader, whoever be the organizer, whoever be the administrator, has to be really optimistic. You should be feeling positive in whatever they do, in performing in the institutions. And we stands for versatile, that multifarious, talented persons who become leaders can do this beautifully well. And E stands for ethical. Of course, definitely when you have organizations, you should be ethically motivating those things, and morally you are responsible for running the institutions. And be responsive. I mean, when you say responsive, I think even in Tirukural, I'll point out that responsive, you should be very quick to respond to whatever things which come to you for a solution, or whatever things that come to you for that. And then that N is non-partisan. Non-partisan in the sense, it's, your administration should not be biased. You should, above all this bias, and then run the institution. And you should be accountable. That A stands for accountable. That is willingness to accept any responsibility and account it for anyone. Whenever something goes wrong or whenever comes good, you are accountable there. And of course, the N stands for nurturing, that is sustaining, caring, right? And then, you have to protect the people under your governance. And the C stands for competent. Competent in the sense, that necessary ability or capacity or capability to run an organization. And of course, the last one, enterprising, E stands for enterprising, that is your efficiency. Right? That way, the word governance itself can give you the definitions through each alphabet. Now, if you go through the meaning of the governance, as for our organizations are concerned, it's a systems of control and accountability. Or you can even say the control and direction of organization by a governing board. That is how we take up this governance. And the governance, we have, when I say that internal organizational systems, and that is the means by which institutions for higher education are formally organized and managed. So that is the significance of the governance in our organizational systems. The means by which institutions for higher education are formally organized and managed. And especially in higher education institution, we have what do you call that administrative system, organometrics, right? Or in other words, the hierarchical systems we have, the board, the decision-making body, the policy-making body, the various committees. So it consists of a governing board, an executive head, a chief executive officer, a team of administrative officer, or you can say chancellor, pro-chancellor, vice-chancellor, pro-vice-chancellor, the teaching faculty, and the administrative staff, the faculty senate, members of the syndicate, academic deans, academic chairs, and of course, we should also have the student representatives in our bodies. Because I hope all of you know today in all our autonomous colleges, we have student representatives in almost all committees. That is more of a democratic way of running an organization. So in other words, governance can be defined as a macro level policy decision making. Of course, you decide, design the policy decisions, and finally you go to the micro level also. That every university, every higher education institution, every autonomous college has this a senior decision-making body. I mean, maybe an administrative board or a governing board or a senate or a syndicate, whatever it is, that decides the macro things and comes to the micro level management of the institutions. If you go to the characteristics of good governance, I take this particular points from United Nations Development Program of 1997. It outlines participation, consensus orientation, accountability, transparency, responsiveness, effectiveness and efficiency, equity, rule of law, and strategic vision as the major characteristics of good governance. That means these 9 traits, or these 9 paradigms, I would even say, form the basis for a very good organization or a very good governance for any organization. Participation, consensus orientation, accountability, transparency, responsiveness, effectiveness, efficiency, equity, rule of law, and strategic vision. This governance, of course, I have already discussed this governance in higher education institutions, because we have this kind of a governing body, executive and all those things. And I also have discussed this. And now I could see that characteristics of good governance in organizations. Before I go to Tirukkural, I would spend 1 or 2 minutes on the importance of good governance in higher education. See, good governance is very important in higher education institutions, because many of us may think that only in businesses and other organizations we need good governance. But running a higher education institution is more complicated than any ordinary organization. That is why I say we need a significant way of doing a good governance, and that points would be needed. Or in other words, I can even say governance should provide a framework for a truly variegated stakeholders. Right? The students, the managing committee, the management people, faculty, and all those stakeholders should come under a kind of a very effective framework of running an institution. And if you go further, if you just come to the higher education institution, the basic objective of organizing or building up a higher education institute is for knowledge. dissemination of knowledge. Maybe I can even say knowledge is the core business in a higher education institution. Whatever you decide, whether it is a broad definition of knowledge or whatever it is, knowledge is the material we produce in a higher education institution. Research and technology are the tools. So these are the tools through which we give education. In other words, we can sum up like this: good governance is the right performance in the pursuit of knowledge. Our good governance organizes performance. And so far I have not talked about that particular word. I thought when I go to the DAC accreditation, I'll tell you, but the performance towards assuring quality decision making in disseminating knowledge. This academic leadership and governance in universities, a beautiful book which I recently referred to, talks about three kinds of governance. One is the traditional bureaucratic governance. In other words, you can even say bureaucratic method. Of course, when we started that, there was a bureaucrats who were running the institutions and all that. Slowly, that changed. And they introduced the collegial method. When I say collegial method, the stakeholders, not especially the staff, the students, and all those people, they came through various committees, the deans of academics, they were reporting to the Vice Chancellor or the Chancellor, whatever it is, that kind of a thing. Nobody took a decision on the, in an individually, no. That was a common decision making. And the third one they suggest is the political method. Now, when I say political method, that election of the Senate members, election of the syndicate members, election of the students to various committees. Now that really becomes a democratic atmosphere where, they can debate, discuss, and come to a consensus in designing the policies for governing good educational institutions. Is there any problem? Hello?
No, sir.
Yeah, okay. I can continue, right?
Yes, sir.
Fine. Now, I'll start with the characteristics of good governance enunciated by Thiruvalluvar in Tirukkural. Because all of you know, Thiruvalluvar today is a common, the general book which has been translated in more than 62 languages, and all over the globe they consider it as a kind of a guide for their life. And in the second chapter, like the section wealth, or in Tamil they say Porutpal, there Thiruvalluvar talks about the characters of good governance. And the character of good governance, as I told you, these are the things: participation, consensus orientation, accountability, transparency, responsiveness, effectiveness and efficiency, equity, rule of law, and strategic vision. These are major characters he defined in his Tirukkural. And this particular thing, of course, UNDP, United Nations Development Project Program, they designed in 1997 only, but 2000 years ago, Thiruvalluvar decided this. Maybe, he talks about kings. He talks about, the rulers. But we have to do it, convert it to the institutions. Because I read in one of the books, academic governance and academic governance in the institute, the universities. They say the university or the higher education institution itself is a city within a city, and you have to govern that beautifully well. So that way, all these 9 paradigms or 9 traits of good characteristics have been defined by Thiruvallur 2000 years ago. And he speaks beautifully well how a ruler should be and how a ruler should govern the subjects, how we should rule the institution, how we should govern the students and all the other stakeholders. And he says, the ruler who possesses these 6 things, an army, people, wealth, ministers, friends, and a fortress, is a lion among kings. The same way, if in an institution, if you are able to possess these things, I think we will be able to run that. It will be a good governance. And the very important thing, he talks about the good governance is the administrator should know his faults. He must remove his faults first. Remove his faults first, then allow himself to scan the other faults. Let him see, whatever faults he has, assess that, remove that first. And let him come and see the dust in others' eyes. And you should also daily search for wrongs, whether he is ruling justly. If he doesn't do that, as I told you the other day, just the beginning, the bad performance will make the country to ruins. So that way, I take that introduction to the characteristics of good governance. And I go to the first, trait, participation. In couplet 677, it says, one who succeeds must begin like this. First let him ask the thoughts of them who thoroughly know the task. Consult the experts. And then, form the ideas and make them also participate in the administration. And that is a beautiful choral, that couplet 517. Only after considering that this particular man can accomplish this, by this means, let the ruler leave him to do that, to discharge that particular assignment he gives to a faculty or anyone, whatever it is. And before that, he should understand that man can do that. And you should really find out whether that particular man do that assignment, whatever he assigns to him. And the same way he says in couplet 462, there is nothing too difficult to those who, before they act, reflect well themselves and thoroughly consider with chosen friends. That means, once again, the same thing what it discusses in 677. Consult all the people. Consult those people, those who are really experts in that area, and finally do this thing. That's all. So that is participation. And second thing is consensus orientation. The consensus orientation, it's a kind of a mediation of interests in society to reach a broad consensus. We have been seeing in the governments also how they come to a consensus. They consult everyone. The same way, we should be very careful and do that. That the first couplet, he beautifully describes that, how it should be there. White chariots with mighty wheels will not run on the ocean. A chariot with beautiful wheels cannot run on the same way, ships cannot traverse on the ocean. All right? So now they should understand how to consult people to come to a consensus. And the next couplet, 462, he says, there is nothing too difficult to be attained by those who before they act reflect well themselves and thoroughly consider with the chosen friends. The same thing. Consult those people who knows things, and with them we'll come to a consensus. Right? And if you're acquainted with the theoretical things, and you can easily understand the performance. And as I told you in the beginning, this governance is a performance, the effective performance in an institution. And if you understand those theories, and then you can act beautifully well in anything, right? So Thiruvalluvar beautifully comes to a conclusion saying, if you know everything, if you know the importance of coming to a consensus before an action, that activity will be easily performed. That's what it says. And then he talks about accountability. I think even there, when I was talking about governance, I say accountability. The king who is esteemed a god among men, the performance is duties and protects. That means, he should be responsible for all his subjects. And, unnecessary praise is not necessary. That's what he says. And let him also not useless things. He has to be accountable in everything. Let's not do anything unprotective of the welfare of the people, protective of the people. And we should be accountable. These two couplets, exemplify the quality of accountability of the ruler as same thing in our institutions. And then comes the transparency, the fourth, the trait. Today, in many of our institutions, I'm extremely sorry to say that we missed this particular trait, transparency. We do not know what's happening. The staff are kept at bay. The students are kept at bay. And they don't seem to come out of that things to tell people it should be very transparent. That's what in Tirukkural 386 is that the whole world will exalt the country of the king who is easy of access. No, you don't have even access to those people to find out what's really happening. There must be openness in those people who really govern us. In everything there must be openness. Why should we hide things, right? This is what's happening. Maybe over my experience, I don't want to go into detail, but still, there are many areas where the administrators are not very, very transparent. And then responsiveness. The responsiveness, when I say that, you should come immediately. Let there not be sloth in whatever you do. Don't just sleep over the actions. Don't sleep over the action. You should not sleep when you take up some particular, till you've complete that responsibility, do not sleep. That's what he says. And the next 466, he says, he will perish who does not what is not fit to do, and he also will perish who does not do what is fit to do. That means, that administrators should be astute in carrying out the deeds to serve all the stakeholders. Let's not delay in what we are going to do. And what ought to be done immediately also should be done without any delay. So that way, we should have that responsiveness in carrying out our responsibility our duties as an administrator. And the sixth one, effectiveness and efficiency. I started that with Peter Drucker's definition, effectiveness and efficiency. Now I'm going to discuss that. Couplet 605, beautifully discusses that. Procrastination, forgetfulness, idleness, and sleep, these four things form the vessel which is desired by those destined to destruction. If you're idle, if you procrastinate things, no, that organization will not come up well. And I just thought, I can even make the distinction. It's a very, very mild, it's a very subtle difference, effectiveness and efficiency. Now, effectiveness, why is this being done? But the efficiency, what needs to be done? Doing the right things, but doing the things the right way, in the best possible manner. Aligns with objectives and goals, but that is focuses on process of doing something. But future, looking with a desire for a better future, but there about the current work, what must improve now. Of course, it's all same, but it's a very subtle difference. It's not easy to measure, but it is easily measurable. Now, I think I can even quote that what cannot be measured cannot be easily controlled. It's a management lesson. So we should be able to control certain things, measure something which can be controlled easily. And of course, effectiveness requires external view outside organization. You should also listen to what's really the feedback which is coming out. And the way here, internal within the bounds of the organization, here efficiency. What's happening inside? The effectiveness requires subjective, but that is objective. Now, comparing that, we can have effectiveness and efficiency, which will not lead to destruction of our organization. And then equity. Equity is a king who is able to acquire, to lay it up to God and to distribute it to everyone. Equity is the fairness. In all fairness, you distribute things. And today, that's the mainstream of the society. No, are we really able to give the chances in a fair way to everyone in our organizations? Right? Everywhere. Even in the recruitments, appointments, admissions, equity. Is it followed beautifully well? And then see that equality also, no? The chief of all the virtues which the authors have summed up is the partaking of food that has been shared with others and the preservation of the manifold life of other creatures. So equality is the sameness, giving everyone the same thing, whereas equity is a fairness, access to same opportunities. So we should be able to give that equity. Let everyone have the access to the higher education. If you had seen that, a new education policy, you will find that, how many children come for school education and how many come for higher secondary education and then tertiary education. The number goes down. And today on the whole world, you see only 24 point something percentage of the total way of doing it, the ratio, enrollment ratio all over the country. Maybe in some of the states, the number is fine, 49 in Tamil Nadu. And in Sikkim, it is 49 once again. But not in all that enrollment ratio is very less, because that maybe we are not able to give that equity in giving chances, opportunities for all the students. And the eighth is the rule of law. Today, we need this. If you have that equality under the law, transparency under the law, independent judiciary, accessible to the legal remedy, we can have the rule of law in our organizations also. See that couplet 541 says, to examine into, to show no favor, to desire, the desire to act with impartiality towards all, and to inflict as may be wisely resolved on, constitute rectitude. Right? And you know, the next one he says beautifully, the king who sways his spectre with justice will get a lot of rain, and you know, we'll have a plentiful crops. That means a ruler with the proper justice can do that in our organizations also. If the administrators go by the rule of law, the knowledge dissemination will be plentiful. And then, you know, you have strategic vision. Because when I go to the NAC accreditation, I'll talk about that. And without strategic vision, which has been delineated very well by Thiruvallur, it's not that easy to run an institution. Let weigh well with the strength of the deed, purposes to do, his own strength, the strength of his enemy, and the strength of the allies, and then let him act. Though you are acquainted with the methods, theoretical and performing an act, understand the ways of the world and act according. This is all the strategic vision. Because I repeat these couplets, but you know that they have some sense. So if you dissect that strategic vision, you can come to that 7 points. The vision statement, mission statement, core values, SWOT analysis, action plans, yearly objectives, long-term. That's short-term goals and long-term goals. This is the strategic vision we have in our. All these 9 traits we should be able to have in our institutions, organizations. If we could follow that, I think you can have the first step of having a very good governance of our institutions. Very good governance of our institutions. Now I move on to the National Assessment and Accreditation Council. You know, based on these policies, during Rajiv Gandhi's regime in 1986, national policy on education was enacted. And there, quality became a very important subject in almost all the institutions. Among all other things, you know, starting with the school education to the higher education, sustaining the quality in higher education became the focus of almost all educationists. And in 1994, National Assessment and Accreditation Council was started in India. Of course, today it's really doing wonderfully well, and because of this assessment and accreditation, you know, they have already started assessing the institutions, and they have given the accreditation based on the quality measures they have. So I thought, you know, if you have this effective governance of higher education institution, I wanted to have the 2 things. One is the Tirukkural. Of course, we can have other Indian books also, but I thought Tirukkural being the world global book, I thought I want to take up that. And today the Indian way of assessing, Accreditation Council, National Assessment and Accreditation Council, that also will give you a lot of clues about how a quality organization should run. Right? So that way, if you see the NAC, the basic 7 criteria for different higher education institutions, of course, affiliated colleges, autonomous colleges, and universities, maybe slightly the the grading is different, the marks are different. Okay, but just see in all the 7 criteria, there is also an important criterion: governance, leadership, and management. Of course, that has got only 100 marks, fine, no problem. But based on that governance, you'll have leadership and management, you'll have other things: teaching, learning, evaluation, research, innovation and extension, student support and program, and infrastructure, and all those things will come to that. That is why I thought, I can touch upon this governance, leadership, and management in NAC criteria. And this 6th criterion, governance, leadership, and management, has got 5 key indicators that will sum up the good governance of any higher education institution. See this institutional vision and leadership, strategy development and deployment, faculty empowerment strategies, financial management and resource mobilization, and internal quality assurance system. IQAC, of course, it rules the rules everywhere in almost all the good institutions which are really preparing to go for accreditation or which have been already accredited by NAC. IQAC does it. It goes out of the way to sustain the quality in all aspects of governance of the institution. So, we should have an institutional vision and leadership by all means. Of course, today we have vision, mission, and goals in almost all the institutions. They are really doing wonderfully well in all the institutions. Maybe for your reference, I would like to take the Tamil Nadu State Higher Education Society vision. Maybe it's general so that I can give you, point out from that, the institutional vision. To realize the human resource potential of the state to its fullest in the higher education sector with equity and inclusion. Once again, equity and inclusion. That is the vision of Tamil Nadu government higher education sector. To realize the human resource potential of the state to its fullest in the higher education sector with equity and inclusion. That inclusive policy. Everyone should come in. No gender discrimination, nothing. Right? That's the inclusive policy. Just for example, I'll give you, because when I discuss institutional vision, I'll be able to draw something from this particular vision. And they do have a mission to enhance access to higher education, ensuring equity, and in particular, to the vulnerable sections of the society. Once again, equity for the vulnerable sections of the society. And to improve employability of students graduating from the higher educational institutions. Today, that gives a lot of challenge in almost all the organizations. Now, I have been in an engineering college. Now, we have been doing wonderfully well in placing students, and the placement training officer and the placement training cell, went out of the way in organizing lots of training, skill development, and we were able to do that. Now, today, that's the thing we need by all means. That doesn't mean that arts and sciences colleges need not. No, we have to, by all means. All the colleges, all the higher education institutions have to really focus on this particular employability of the students. And the quality, the third point is to promote quality of higher education. Quality is very, very important. Now that has become a watchword everywhere. Quality in education. And then development of vocational education and skill development. Of course, it runs along with an employability. To frame policies and programs for strengthening research and innovations and encourage higher education institutions, public or private, to engage with industry and society. That industrial and innovation centers, what is really needed today. I think recently one of my colleges where I'm the board of governor or governing body, we had an MOU with the local hospitals. We have the mechanical department and computer science department have decided to produce robo nurses. So that's the need of the hour today. We are successful in doing that. So why I'm saying that, this particular policies or programs should be able to help the society which needs certain things from us. And that is how an institution should be governed. Now, if you see this sixth criterion, you will see there will be more of qualitative metrics than of quantitative metrics. That means we should be able to qualitatively design things in governance, management, and this running administration, right? Governance. That's why I wanted to quote once again Peter Drucker, what is measured improves. You measure what is happening in our institutions and try to have measures to improve what is measured. Once again, I would like to see that, the peer team, when they come to our colleges, they really play a key role in finding out what are the qualitative metrics you are able to do in maintaining the governance and the management of our institutions. So now I'll come to the governance of things, reflective of the tune with the vision and mission of the institution. I think we can take up that first one, that vision and mission in our institution. Maybe you now have a different vision and mission, whatever it is. But is it in tune with the institution's governance? And that's what I pointed out, this Tamil Nadu higher education state, Tamil Nadu state's vision. Now, in all our organization, it should be there. You should be able to realize the human potential in our organizations to the fullest, with equity, and everybody should come in. And you should be able to see whether effective leadership is visible. Is there any decentralization, participative management? How far the delegation of these positions are beautifully done. I know in many of our organizations today, even run by those fathers and sisters, they slowly delegate the important position to the layman, laywoman. Slowly it's coming up. We have more of vice principals, deans, controller of exams, and all those things. Now it's all given. I can even quote one example there. St. Xavier's Mumbai today has a layman as a principal, and today it is this world education. It has given that first place today. It's not in the first position. It's an organization, where beautiful decentralizations are taking place everywhere. So if you decentralize and delegate with autonomy, that effective leadership will be definitely visible. You should be able to, accommodate everyone inside. And then the second point, the institutional strategic perspective plan. We should be able to have a perspective plan everywhere. Without perspective plans, whether it's a short goal or a long goal, long-term goal, short-term goal, it's not that easy. That's why I would like to even say once again, reiterate the point that effective governance of the institution is done on the policies and practices we evolve to run the institutions. The way it was planned, the human resources are used in recruitment, training, performance appraisal, financial management, and overall role of leadership. You know, I have been serving in many panels to choose the principals, to choose the staff, to select the staff, and all that. I sometimes, you know, I am definitely demotivated. You know, whatever we say, they say, sorry, sir, this particular person is very close to us, and we want to appoint him. So that's not the way. So the merit is compromised. How will he? You know, they don't seem to understand by appointing a person who is the last in the list. They are really collapsing or spoiling the future of the students. So this is one aspect, one particular point I would like to make a stress on. Now, there are lots of things like this. Of course, I can go on talking about it, but I would like to just tell you this. And the performance appraisal. How many of us, how many of the staff are appraised properly and then given enough training to update their knowledge? And of course, the financial management, I don't want to go into that, but you know, it is a very big area. But the overall role of leadership today, it's in question. Are we really following the inclusive options? You know? And you see, whenever you think of that, you know, you should be able to have, whenever we think of this institutional vision, and it should be all reflected in all your action. The leader should also have the clear vision of the institution when you have the strategy development. The academic and administrative units are governed by the principles of participation and transparency. How do you choose a committee? As I said from Tirukkural and you know, if you know that this particular man can do that, if you come to a conclusion that he will be able to do that, give him a chance and allow him to do independently. So this particular direction guidelines or specific plan of administrative aspect improves the overall quality of the leadership, overall quality of the institutions. So now see the second point, the institutional strategic perspective plan and functioning of institutional bodies is effective and efficient as visible from policies, administrative, setup, appointment, service, everything. This is what I call it organogram. Now, how do you design the policies, the administrative setup? How it goes on like this? Are we really able to satisfy everyone in under our group? Okay. Then I go to this effective welfare measures for teaching and non-teaching staff. How many of our colleges today take up the welfare measures of teaching and non-teaching? I mean, I don't bring in or include the aided colleges and the government aided colleges where, you know, it is a mandatory measure for welfare measures, fine. Because of course, in autonomous colleges, they do excellently well. But there are colleges where they don't follow the measures, welfare measures with the teaching. They don't even allow them to go for updating the knowledge by attending the various seminars. No. I really find it difficult to what do you call it, making the people accept. I really find it difficult to convince the administrator of the importance of the FDPs. I think I still remember, I don't want to name the secretary. He told me, no, suppose they go for this, who will teach the students? But there are measures. We can also appoint substitutes. That is very, very necessary. Updating the what is the latest in our field. They don't know. And the performance appraisal system. Only when you were able to get that performance, you should be able to enhance the professional competence of the staff. It all comes under the governance. You should be able to see that, all the staff are coming under that. And how many of our institutions conduct the internal, external, not only the financial audits, academic audits? We need some team talk. Let the IQAC go. When I come to the IQAC, I'll tell you. Of course, we should also have institutional strategies for mobilization of funds. Let each staff apply. Let them do some research. Ask for funds. Let's all make the optimal utilization of resources. I'm quite unhappy in some of the colleges where even after putting in 10 years of service or 15 years of service, they are not able to write a research article or a funded projects. There are two things, which one is the management is not completely bothered about making them writing one. And sometimes they think, when I was talking to a particular principal, is that, they take that money and then they enjoy it. No, not that way. That means there is nothing, that's not beautifully measured, properly measured. So I go to the next one. Now come to that IQAC. See, the college which has formed internal quality assurance cell, it contributes significantly for the institutional quality, strategies and processes. Let the IQAC go to all the departments and find out what best can be done in the review of the teaching learning processes, structures, methodology. And that's what I told you. This criterion 6 will contribute many points for very important things, teaching, learning, evaluation, infrastructures, and all those things. IQAC can record improvement in various activities. You will also find that incremental growth in various cycles of assessment. Every cycle, what the best can be done. You'll be definitely interested in going for the second cycle, because the very first cycle, these are the lapses we have faced. We'll improve. That is the governance. See, that's why I see that the quality assurance institute of the institution, maybe most of our administrators still focus on. We have to still focus on. I was recently talking to one of the chairmen of a self-financing institution where I was training the staff for NAC accreditation. And when I told him that, there is a very poor performance as far as training and placement is concerned. The answer he gave was really shocking. He said, suppose I give placements, the students will not come and join the postgraduate programs. That's wrong. That's really wrong. So that's why, we should have a quality assurance in all our institutions where it can be beautifully done, have a regular meeting of IQAC. Of course, these are all points from NAC, this one panel, regular meeting of IQAC, collect the feedback, analyze the feedbacks, and then do whatever can be done, whatever can be improved. And it should be a collaborative act, the quality initiatives. And we should be able to take part in the national institutional ranking framework. Maybe many will say, sir, what is that? They don't verify. No, it's wrong. They verify today. You cannot just play with that. They verify and give the ranking. Oh, we can also think of other certifications. Of course, as engineering college, even engineering colleges today, we go for MBA, we always go for NAC also. So these accreditation process help us to grow in our academics so that we are able to disseminate knowledge. And the last one, the vision and leadership. There, of course, you have to articulate short and long-term goals. And of course, you have to, what you are going to do. There may be good founders, who have started these colleges where they must have certain vision. What should be done for students? Let us tell them. This is what the legacy, the college was started, the higher education institution was started. And today, what is really needed is that e-governance. E-governance is important today. All right. Sorry, something else.
Sir. Sir?
Yes. I'm sorry. I think something has gone wrong. Okay, no problem.
Just click on the slide, sir. It will move, sir.
It doesn't move. That's the problem. Okay, no problem. I think I have come to the last one.
Okay,
okay. Now that leadership come, and then once again I was talking about the welfare, and this is what are the things which you have to do in improving the performance of the student, the college. And then finally, I would even come to a conclusion that way. This internal quality assurance is, that is the soul of the institution. That, governs all the quality measures which we have to take up. If you make all the IQAC people meet regularly, and if you are able to set benchmarks, and then, you'll be able to run the show excellently well. Let's all arrange academic and administrative audits, and we'll know where we stand. We'll find out what are the lapses. If that can be done, which will go, which will grow, that will definitely grow. And finally, I'm sorry, anyway, I have to just quote Francisco Zigaro. He says, if I were to reflect on this, was there adequate communication between the boards, the chancellors, the presidents, the universities, our greatest asset is our faculty, students and staff. Our greatest asset is our faculty, students and staff. And if they are not engaged in that conversation to establish the best policy, then governance is compromised. You see, he says beautifully well, he's the chancellor of the university in Texas. He says, if the chancellors, the boards, the governing boards, the presidents and the universities do not engage in the conversation to establish the best policies among the faculty and the students and the staff, I don't think the governance will run nicely. That means that the leaders should be able to have equity and inclusiveness of all the students, all the staff, and even the democratic process of making the student representatives in almost all the committees, wherein we should be able to give a very effective governance. And finally, I would like to go to that. The end, lead. Lead. What do you mean by lead? You have to plan. You have to do. You have to check. You have to act. That means Define and develop an organization first. Begin from the end. Right? Define, develop an organization. Plan. Produce good graduates with all facilities. Do. Now that is the mission. Let's produce good graduates with all facilities. Because as I said, the primary objective of any higher education institution is dissemination of knowledge. Let's produce good graduates with all good facilities. And then, let's just have the check and balance. Check, inspection. Inspect. For the periodical inspection, why do we stand in disseminating the knowledge? And let there be a corrective action. I request all the participants here. I want you to lead, and lead in such a way. Encourage, act, and dream. Thank you very much for your patient listening.
Thank you very much, sir. Now the floor is open for the participants to ask sir any doubts, or you can give your message in the chat box. So I'll read it for sir, so that sir will be giving the answer.
Yeah, sure.
Participants, please, you may ask the questions to sir directly, or you can give it in the chat box.
Yeah, please.
For e-governance, how directly it improves the quality of the college, sir? This is only during the pandemic period only. In general, how the e-governance, sir?
Can you please repeat the question? Oh, yeah, wonderful. Today, e-governance is very, very important. And of course, I don't know whether you saw that yesterday in the UGC. Even with the next academic year onwards, 40% will be on e-governance only. Already we have introduced many things. Right, like portals and all that, right? So yes, that will give them extra knowledge, right? That has done by all means. No, even today, what we do, I don't know whether your university is following. Apart from our coursework for our research scholars, we make them enroll in any of the online programs, right? Do that in other universities. And today, almost all leading colleges, they come under e-governance to save time. I know Loyola College, Chennai. Almost all the heads of the departments report to through only the emails, everything. E-governance is very efficiently managed. No, you don't. But of course, you have to be very genuine. You have to be extraordinarily genuine in doing it, right? And as I said in the beginning, genuine is very important. Whether it is e-governance, online or offline, whatever you teach, if you are genuine, if you are sincere, definitely you will make the best out of any portal which is being introduced. Right, ma'am? Yeah.
Of course, correct, sir. But another question is the governance, the administration is related not only with the principal, sir, secretary, correspondent. If it is a private management, everything constitutes. So it should not reflect the quality of the teaching, no, sir. For any educational institution, of course, the management has to provide everything, every good things to the teachers, students, everyone. It is the duty of them.
Wonderful,
but like the college like us, government college, secretary is joint commissioner of HR and CE. There are some problems in executing things and all. But all the teachers are working promptly, and the principal is also a very good principal. But the governance is, I'm not saying that it is poor, but we cannot totally, it is not, we cannot blame the institution, because the quality of teaching is very important. The quality of students coming out is very important. So how we should rely on this, sir?
Yeah, that's right. No, I told you, all the stakeholders are important. The starting from the chairman or the secretary, manager, the secretary of the college, everybody is important in giving you the faculty. But now, all the facilities, I know, in government colleges there is some problem. But once again, today, I think in Tamil Nadu, almost all the government colleges or some of the government colleges have become autonomous colleges. I know in Andhra, where I am a member in our principal cluster, there is a government college which is doing a wonderfully well. Almost all the facilities, even the funded project they are getting well. I forget the name of that college. Recently, we had a webinar, and they were listing out how nicely they are doing it. I think it's government autonomous colleges in Andhra Pradesh. I was really praising them, praising the principal secretary, and they are doing very well. Almost all the heads of the department were there, and they were talking about the accreditation process, and they told me they have said that college is a model where there are lots of funded projects. Everybody is interested in doing things, and the quality is sustained.
Of course, sir. But if you're getting money from the government college, like us, it's a quasi-government college, not a direct government college. It is. So for us, it is very difficult to get money and all. So execution is
it's a government
without
college,
money.
right?
How the execution is?
Yeah, I perfectly agree with you. That without wherewithal, you cannot run any. But once again, whenever we go, because I don't want to tell you the higher education secretaries and the director of collegiate education, they are all principals. They are promoted from the principalship only. They become that, and they know what is the difficulty we face in our colleges, and they are able to move the files properly, and then we are able to get it. Maybe we should be able to move those people on the right line, making them good. If at all they are insisting on the quality without money nowadays, it's not possible. So I think we have to insist on that. We have to talk to them, write to them, and then get things done. That's the only way. Of course, I think I don't view it very negatively. I view it very positively here in our the colleges where they are doing wonderfully well. In almost all the government colleges. I think I know the president, director of government. Director of collegiate education is doing wonderfully well. There is even the secretary of our higher education is doing wonderfully well. We are able to even through Tansky, we are able to introduce a lot of things. Even the skill development, communication skills, and all that. We have lots of meetings there, at the Tansky level, and then we have introduced many things, and we are doing on the right track. We are going on the right track to improve the quality of this. Only thing is, it's not only the principal who is responsible, the others also. We have to just help them and then make them right and all that. I will never blame the principal. Definitely, I will not blame the principal. He is the one who gets. The principal is the one, right? Yes.
Thank you, sir. There is one more question from John. There is one more question.
Yes.
Answer. It is in chat box. I am reading for you. Since the objective of quality assurance is to enhance the attainment of quality learning outcomes in higher educational institutions, please elaborate on how students should be informed about quality audit in their institutions.
Wonderful. I would say now today, are we not supposed to tell the students about the outcome-based education which they are supposed to take? See that IQAC and outcome-based education policy should go hand in hand. From the first day, the day one when the students are enrolled, we should be able to educate the student. What is your? No, it's not only the last year, third year he comes and trains us. Not that way. From the first year onwards, how are we supposed to train them? That's why, other day when I was talking to one college there and I said, why don't even introduce internships from the first year onwards, and let's find out from the students what is their idea of pursuing a particular graduate program in our colleges, and based on that, why do we introduce some internship, and the student will be involved in that particular domain, and he will start in that area. So that way, the quality of education will be sustained if you are able to tell them the outcome-based education. This is what you are going to do that. You're out of the way, you can do that way. I think in my engineering college, I was in the third year when they came after the communication about their programs outside for PGs. And we even had lots of university representatives from foreign universities to come and talk to them. And there we were also bringing in all the skill development people to come and talk to them about that. So that way, the students were able to show their interest. Now, it is only in our hands. The staff have to do it. We have to tell them what is that. Of course, you may tell me, or I may also even think, there is no time. We have an affiliated college curriculum to be over and all that. But of course, as I said, that commitment of the faculty in such a way to train our students, I think we'll be able to achieve everything. Once again, I would reiterate, the outcome-based education should go hand in hand with IQAC. I think we'll be able to introduce that.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else? Yeah.
There is one more, I think it's a question or maybe like a proposal from the Jagdeep Singh sir. The best quality assurance audit is through student voices, could be collected via Google Forms. I think sir is asking, can we collect the student feedback on Google Forms? Maybe.
Yeah, that today, of course, I'm not able to accept those things also. Google, they do a lot of things. I jokingly always say the Google professor is the one who really depend on and all. I think that we have to really create awareness among the students. We have to still be very genuine in all those things. I think that again, it's responsible to the staff to tell them. It is not all the time Google. We have to tell the students. Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Anything else?
Sir, good evening. This is Sandanam Pillai from Andhra Loyola Institute of Engineering Technology, Vijayawada. Sir, can you hear me, sir? Good evening, sir.
Yes, you are audible, sir. Please go ahead.
Okay. So I kind of felt very happy to see you because I could see in your presentation that you were
yes,
with...
Yes, sir. I hear you. I hear
yes,
you, sir.
Yes. I was at St. Joseph's College in Jacama in 1987. I was there. So when I saw you were with St. Joseph's Nagaland, I was very happy.
Oh, wonderful. With Father Seba.
Yes, yeah.
Father
No, it was Father Francis Valapilli's time. Father Francis Valapilli's time.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
hope you're doing well, sir. Sir, I have just one question to ask. I'm with the placement training department.
Thank you.
Sir, I'm with the placement training department.
Okay.
Can you give me some tips on placement training, sir? Because you have talked about placement training and how you have trained the teachers and so on. Can you offer some tips on
Congratulations.
placement training?
We can lie to many students. Yeah.
Sir, my question was, can you offer us some tips on placement training?
I had a lot of difficulties in Nagaland because many of the students were not for placement. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Because there's a huge gap.
Total, I can tell you, the moment they come to the third year, what we did in our colleges, especially Francis Xavier Engineering College and the DMI College of Engineering, Palanchur, Chennai, on the third year, we collected all the eligible students collected all the eligible students, and then, we gave a kind of a questionnaire. How many of them are interested in placements? How many of them are interested in higher studies?
Yes.
And once the students said we are interested in higher studies, we did not disturb them at all.
Yes.
And we could get a number of students for the placement training. Then that we decided. And also in that format, we asked them, how many of us are interested in aptitudes training? Aptitude training. And we started bringing people from outside. That team was separate, And, we had a crash course for 1 month. Aptitude alone. And mathematics, especially. I think I still remember I took 2 professors who can tell them the shortcut methods. That also we gave for a fortnight. Gave for a fortnight, okay. And whenever we come to know that the 500 Fortune companies are going to visit us, what we did was immediately 1 week ahead of the program, we'll have a crash course to the model examination from TCS, Wipro, Sindel, and all those things. We gave them a lot of trainings. And also had mock interviews with the experts from outside. And we could show very good results when they went for the placement in other colleges or inside our own colleges. That is what we generally do. The moment they come to the third year itself we start. We don't wait till the 4th year at all.
In fact, this year we have started. We are doing it, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
I would like to thank you for the elaborate explanation on Tirukkural, the characteristics of effective governance, which you have spoken, really has given an insight into how an institution can grow with governance by having a characteristics of participation, consensus orientation, accountability, transparency, responsiveness, effectiveness and efficiency, equity, rule of law, and strategic vision. Sir, you have also highlighted on the NAC and how this Tirukkural is getting connected with the NAC accreditation process and with NAC's accreditation 6th criterion. How can we build up with the other criterions also? We are very much fortunate enough, sir, but we could have an expert talk from you, and it has really regenerated. And we could see in the chat box many of them expressing their gratitude towards the kind of presentation that you have given. It was really immensely pleasurable for us that we could learn a very, very good learning experience from you for the first session. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you once again for all the organizers, especially Lavender Club, Cape Common Interest, and St. Xavier's College of Loyola Institute of Technology, and that Malaysian organization. Thanks a lot for giving me an opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, once again.